Okay, go ahead and show the audience. For 2 centuries, owning a home has been considered the cornerstone of the American dream. By a quick show of hands, how many of you hope to own a home someday? Is there any like economic factors that might make that feel like it's a little bit impossible these days?
The down payment is large and the mortgages are beyond my expense, I feel.
So that reaction is actually becoming very, very common. So the average age of the American homebuyer has nearly doubled in recent decades. So today we're going to explore a little bit about why that shift is happening. So for many college students and young adults, the possibility of home ownership is something that feels impossible, right? So you hear about rising home prices, student loan debt, inflation. Many people have started to assume that home ownership is something that's going to have to wait until much later in life, if it ever happens at all. So I worked in real estate for 15 years, and in my work, I have helped a lot of buyers through the home buying process. And in that work, I've seen firsthand both the challenges buyers face as well as the programs that are available to walk them or to assist them in purchasing a home and make home ownership more attainable. So, although housing prices have increased dramatically in recent years, it's still possible in Washington state. These programs offer great assistance and they're designed to help buyers overcome the financial barriers today that exist. So, today we'll discover a little bit about the recent trends in home affordability. We'll discuss the rising age of home buyers and economic factors that have made purchasing a home more difficult than it has been in recent years. Lastly, we'll discuss programs that are available in Washington state that help buyers overcome some of these barriers. So let's start off by looking at some of the trends in the housing market that explain why that shift is happening. So when buying a home looks as different today as it has in recent and previous decades, um, let's talk first about the age of the first time home buyer. So it's risen significantly in recent decades. And according to the 2025 profile of home buyers and sellers released by the National Association of Realtors, the average age of the first time home buyer is nearly 40 years old, which is the highest it's ever been. So in the mid 1980s, the average age of a first time home buyer was typically in their mid 20s. So, what that means is that buyers today are waiting a lot longer to purchase their first home. So, this shift reflects both the financial barriers as well as the shifting economics that have created these barriers and rising housing costs that are delaying homeownership for many Americans. So, now that we understand the demographics that reflect the housing market, let's look at some of the economic factors that contribute to this shift. So, rising home prices and economic pressures have made the possibility of homeownership more difficult for many buyers. So, in an article published by The Olympian um, th- that cited data from the Northwest MLS, as well as the Association of Realtors, the average cost of a home in Washington state was just under $600,000. So that's over $500,000, right? So, according to the 2025 Home Affordability Survey, roughly 60% of potential home buyers have said that's just way too high. So, housing costs have just become too high, and today's buyers are also facing additional financial pressures, right? So, inflation, historic student loan debt, um, income limitations. All of these things make saving for a down payment difficult. So, according to educationdata.com, the average student loan debt is nearly $40,000. So, excuse me. So, with student loan debt being approximately $40,000, and if homes are so much more expensive, all of those things combined, as well as these financial barriers that exist, um, what can Washington buyers actually do to help make homeownership possible? Well, Washington State offers a few different programs, such as the Covenant Homeownership Program and the Washington State First Time Homebuyers Down Payment Assistance Programs. And all of these programs help buyers overcome a lot of the financial barriers and potential roadblocks to purchasing a home. So, according to the Washington State Housing Finance Commission website, the commission is a self-sustaining organization. So, what this means is that the commission doesn't run out of funding. They're not limited to private donors, and the commission is dedicated to expanding these opportunities for all home buyers to increase homeownership across Washington State. So, and a lot of these individuals that use these programs maybe be just shy of being able to afford a home. So a lot of these programs are designed to help those individuals. And many of those individuals, like those of you who raised your hands in the beginning. So programs such as the Covenant Homeownership and the Washington State Homebuyer Down Payment Assistance Program provide buyers with up to $15,000 to help cover down payment and closing costs. The buyers can use the funding for closing, they can use it for paying down payments, fees, anything that comes in the process of when you finally close your home. So buyers qualify through these programs by meeting just a few criteria. There's pretty basic residency and income requirements, being a Washington State resident for a minimum of 183 days. And for lending purposes, first time home buyer really just means you haven't purchased a home in the last 3 years. Finally, a minimum credit score of 620, and you must have a household income just under $180,000, which is quite high if you think about it. Realistically, that's a household of two incomes where both people make $90,000. So being low income isn't a requirement. So participants are also required to take a 5-hour first-time homebuyer course. The course can be taken online for free or in person most weekends. I believe it's $50. So I've taken the course as well as been certified to teach them. And they're informative, but really they're very, very simple. So no passing of a test is required. So these programs really reduce a lot of the financial costs of purchasing a home, and they make sure that this process is incredibly accessible for as many buyers in Washington as possible. So in conclusion, buying a home today may seem more challenging, more than it's ever been, but it's far from impossible. So although we're seeing home prices in historic highs, purchasing a home is still very much attainable. The key to home ownership, excuse me, through these programs that are designed to help buyers purchase a home, the key to owning a home is still very much possible. So, quick review. So today we learned about the demographics and the rising age of first-time homebuyers. We talked about the economic factors that contribute to purchasing a home, and we looked at the programs that are available in Washington State to help buyers overcome some of those financial barriers. So if you were one of those people that raised your hand in the beginning when I asked who hoped to own a home someday, remember that the path to homeownership may look different than it has in previous and recent generations, but that door to that dream of homeownership is still very much open. You just have to be willing to walk through it. Thank you.